by the shadow minister of security, national security. We're talking to Sir Fitz Jackson. Fitz, good evening.
All around. First of all, let me wish you and everyone all the best for this new year that we have started. Challenging year it will be. Last year was such a very devastating year for the whole country, not only those in the worst hurricane hit areas. Because, you know, Colin, the Jamaican family stretch very wide. And I say constituency like mine in Portmore, that was not affected in any significant way. In fact, minor if any damage. Our relatives, family members in Western Jamaica that was devastated. So the impact, though not directly, has been quite indirect for many of us Jamaicans.
Thank you for joining us, Sir Jackson. We have a lot of things to talk about as it relates to national security in Jamaica right now. A lot of people are concerned, and let's just go there first. A lot of people are concerned with the increase in police killings over last year period. I think we had about 319 killings this year, or 311.
Yeah, the number keeps rising daily. It's hard to kind of keep track of the last one.
And then we have 13 since the beginning of this year. Yeah. Speak to us about that.
Well, you have said it, Colin. The number is alarming. I've said it publicly before. I'm really reiterating the position, that's not just of myself, of the opposition and many Jamaicans. The number you quote almost resembling the number of persons that are killed. The murder rate that we welcome its reduction, but when you look at that number, the number of people being killed by the police, it is reasons for concern. Strong reasons for concern, and for that reason why we ask and we would want to see very thorough, independent investigation as to the circumstances and to establish, you know, is it really as it is reported? We hear quite often that alleged gunmen attack the police, attack the security forces, they return fire, and those persons died. Look, is it that the criminals have gotten more stupider than they were before to be taking on the security forces and meeting their demise in the way that is reported? If it is so, we'd love to see some evidence to support that rather than a mere claim and an allegation. We can't build a lasting, safe, peaceful, cohesive society when large segments of the society feel threatened by those who are sworn to protect them. That's not the way to build a country. It is a way to try to enjoy some statistics, but you can't push people away in the process. And that is the concerns we have.
We were just in a discussion about body cameras, MP. And one of the things is that we are not seeing a push from the government for body camera. Where is the opposition as it relates to body camera worn by the police?
Well, our position has been unchanging as recently as the last sitting in Parliament, when the Prime Minister moved the motion for the extension of the ZOZOs throughout the country. I raised that point on behalf of the opposition. And what we got from the Prime Minister is a rhetorical scratch record response. By that I mean, the core of the government's response is that yes, on the one hand, they support the use of the cameras, and they have been saying that for a number of years. The Prime Minister himself has said that publicly. But when the tire hits the ground, they have not delivered on it. And there's all kinds of explanation being given. Colin, body-worn camera is not a new device. The science behind it is not a new one. These are shelf items. These are not items that you have to give 1 year orders with specs for. They are being used all over the place. They are produced commercially from the appropriate entities that are involved in doing that all over the place. And then the Prime Minister comes and addresses the country in a way as if we're dummies. And we can understand that this is a complex matter that will take some time.
Fitz Jackson, I am laughing because those are the very things we were talking about. The Prime Minister come tell you about you have to get backroom equipment, you have to get recording equipment to capture the picture like we done.
Yes, we know that. That's standard.
And it is available.
And it's available. So it leaves persons like myself and many others, perhaps you are included in it too, who want to believe that the government, stroke the JCF, has no real interest in having them operational, in place and operational. The other thing that I would want to know too, while these hardware facilities are being put in place, what will be the protocols for the operation of these body owned? Because it's one thing to have it in a Colin. How you use them is another matter.
Yes.
Or how they are intended to be used.
Yes.
No, we don't need to be providing these elements in a sequential way. Because these are policy issues that they need to enunciate. And now is a good time, even ahead of them coming into being, so that we know what to expect. We know what we will get from it. And secondly, as a democratic country, it gives the opportunity for the public, persons like yourself, myself, as part of the opposition and civil society, to make their input, because whatever government does, it must be towards serving the people.
But Fitz Jackson, you're a part of government. Would it be fair for me to think, and I am of the opinion, that certain permission have been given or certain command has been given to the police by the political directorate for this action to be going on, and we don't see the government really pushing and demanding that body cameras be worn? And I am of the opinion, as a regular citizen, that the government have no interest in seeing the police wearing body cameras.
And that's the point I just made. The behavior of the government would reasonably cause people to believe so, including myself. I want that not to be the case, but the action of the government is driving that perception.
What is the role of the opposition and a part of the government sitting in the parliament to enforce things like these, to get policies like these in place?
Colin, I beg of you, when you're going to frame the question in the way that the opposition is a part of the government, you have to be a bit more precise than that. We are a part of the legislature. Period.
You're not a part of the executive.
Correct. And it is the executive that executes, not the legislature.
And the executive that really makes the final decision.
Sorry?
The executive also makes the final decision.
Correct. So I don't want you to just bundle the opposition in the government of the JLP as being jointly responsible for what we're talking about. That is furthest from the fact. And you know, and many Jamaicans know, and I am coming to over the years of this government, I come to realize that if you want something good not to happen, don't let the opposition say it.
Because once you say the government not going to do it, is that
correct?
But Fitz Jackson, if we look at what the murder figures say, and we have seen videos, example Cherry Tree Lane, and we hear about this 4-year-old
in St. James.
In St. James the other night. Some of the killings are really questionable.
Even the Cherry Tree one, we haven't got any answers to as yet either.
And where do we go from here as a nation?
Simple.
Because hold on, Fitz. If we just look at people who have been murdered by the gun, there is no 42% decline.
It's a matter of who killed them.
It's a matter of who killed them. So even with the murder rate going down, Jamaicans killed by the gun in 2025 is not down at 42%.
Colin, you asked a question before, which I want to answer. What do we do?
Yeah. What is your role and the opposition? And
no, I want to say we.
Yes.
The opposition has a role, yes, and we will resign from that. And let me speak to that one first. The opposition, we have a seat in Parliament, and we use that platform to one, critique, and I deliberately use the word critique and not criticize, because critiquing is an objective activity. We must even critique our own selves to make what we seek to do better. So we seek to critique what the government does in its policies, in its program. Two, we seek to advance and advocate for approaches which we believe can contribute to the well-being or the better well-being of the Jamaican people. You know, there's a tendency in members of the government that once the government do something or announce something, you must not question it. That's so sad and unfortunate. But we will not be subjected to that stricture and that expectation. So we will always critique and we'll always advance and we'll raise questions, pertinent questions, and issues regarding what the government does and issues that occurs in the Jamaican society that needs the authority of the government to address. We will do that. We will do it as forcefully as we can, and we try to do it as tactically as we can. And some things are not necessarily more advantageous to raise in the Parliament. Sometimes the greater part of it has to be done outside the Parliament. And we do that. For example, even when year before last, when the government shut down the Parliament to prevent the leader of the opposition from speaking, we have to carry that message that we had to deliver as an opposition elsewhere. So yes, that's what we will do and more as an opposition. But there are things that we, the collective, must do as a people. Look here, anywhere across the world, Colin, that you have far-reaching changes, it is not the mere leadership or political leadership. It is the people with their leaders make those changes, pursue those changes, and cause them to come and to be. Look, I learned very early in my life, you know, those who oppress you will not see power to you because you talk. They will only see power to you when you're going to act against them. We seek to do that through the democratic process. And we see what parties and governments will do to thwart that process to pursue their own illegitimate will. You're in Portland. You're quite close to many things that happen, but that's not going to be the subject of discussion today. And it's one that can be discussed at another time. But in terms of the role of, as you said, of the opposition and people, we need to get engaged. Democracy is not a 5-year exercise. Democracy is an everyday exercise. Look at the jurisdictions and you see it.
If you're just joining us on Caribbean Radio 97.9 HD4, we're talking to Member of Parliament Fitz Jackson. Fitz Jackson is the Shadow Minister on National Security, and he comes from the People's National Party. Fitz, the numbers for 2025 says murders are down by 42%. Are there any bodies? Because I know up to the middle of last year there were 400 and about 92 bodies that they have not determined if these people should be on in the murder numbers. Are there still dead bodies that have not been accounted for?
I can't answer that in any definitive way, Colin. It's something that I have to lend my attention to a bit, right? I honestly can't give you a meaningful answer at this point, and I rather defer it, and I can come back to you at a later date.
With the numbers,
yes.
Right? No, not a problem. All right. So, also, Fitz, when we look at the whole issue of the police not wearing the body camera and the government's action on it, a caller earlier reminded us that civil society had a protest for the police to wear body cameras, and Marlon Morgan, I know less a person than the Prime Minister, really participated in a counter protest against JFK back then. What are your views on that?
Well, you know, it is unfortunate to say the least, and it suggests or confirms the kind of, you know, Jamaican sense that people talk out of two sides of their mouth.
Yes.
On one side them saying something else, on the other side them saying something counter to it. So they don't know where they truly stand. And this government has repeatedly demonstrated that it will say the things that it believes can deflect from the real issues. It will say whatever it believes need to be said that can cause them not to be held responsible for their own action. And that's what you see in those remarks. But I want to say something further about the body-worn cameras.
Yes.
Regrettably, some people see it as a anti-police or not pro-police request or demand. And that is furthest from the truth. You're not going to have a peaceful society. You're not going to have peaceful communities across Jamaica if the people in the various communities do not have confidence and trust in the police that is going to protect them. Let us accept that as a starting point. When allegation of inappropriate and in fact criminal action by the police is alleged, it is important that those police officers are able to clear their names and the integrity and respect for the police be preserved. The cameras being worn by the police and these operations is a tool towards preserving the respect, regard, perception, positive perception of the police force. So the body-worn camera is a pro-police device, not an anti-police device. But it's otherwise depending on the perspective or the angle that one chooses to look at it. Let me make this clear. I think the overwhelming majority of the police force are well-intentioned, decent persons. But like in every organization, you have cliques, you have groupings that brings the organization into disrepute.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot to encourage you enough. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you guys to go over to Colin Bell Show, right, and subscribe to the page and see the rest of this interview with Mr. Fitz. Alright. Yeah man, definitely go to Portland Spice TV. That live stream was on the 6th of January 2026. Alright. Yeah, that was the evening live stream and it was a 3-hour one. So you know you had different perspective. Rasta Hyman was on there. I still haven't been able to check what he's talking about in terms of, you know, the economy and stuff like that. But the conversation surrounding the crime and the violence, this is one of the most well articulated discussions in terms of the PMP representative. He hit every nail on the head. You know what I mean? And you know, you can clearly see that he's calling on the people to understand that we as people in the country play a major role in its democracy. Right? Alright? This month, the 15th, because I said, we as a people play a role in the democracy. So you remember when Andrew Williams said we should raise our voice in concert. We remember that. You guys remember that? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you have remembered him saying that, then I want to strongly encourage you guys to raise your voice in concert. Black Loki, big up. I mean, come on, you guys are family. Labor rights out there, come on. You know what you're feeling. You know what you're experiencing. So all in the name of to protect the fake image of a party in their political journey as the government, you guys play it down. Oh, I don't want to embarrass, I don't want to show up my party, although I lost my, I don't even want to go there. Listen, you guys know. The 4-year-old, I didn't care. And the last thing I would have thought about is if it was a JLP area. The very last thing. The 4-year-old young little baby that was unalived, allegedly by the police, by the soldier, whatever, JSF, JDF, I don't know. The last thing I thought about. I didn't even think about it. It was in a discussion on Mr. Wayne Lonesome that I heard the conversation lead to the era in which it happened was a JLP era today. So I say to you guys, my brothers and sisters out there, whether you are JLP or PMP or no P at all, we are the ones that face it. We are the ones that could have never been an uptown baby. It could have never been somebody in a them uptown house and the police was shooting wildly, allegedly, and hit a baby in an uptown house. It wouldn't have happened. And if it did, oh, hell would have to pay. Hell would have to pay, ladies and gentlemen. Trust and believe. But we live in, but them say the animal farm, it's about true Jamaica, You man, you have tears. Yeah man, it's about true Jamaica because you have most of where they right, so but we don't have no connections, and no matter what connections we think we have, we're not big enough. You have to get subjected to all type of abuse by the police, and it's not every police. We are talking about the police them where abuse people specifically, violate them human rights, violate them constitutional rights, and violate their right to life, period, whether they are deemed to be a criminal or not. I tell you all the while, these people are not seeing the bigger picture, You understand? And then he also spoke about, ladies and gentlemen, the relief effort of the hurricane. I am so tired, personally, of even speaking about these things because it's so blatant. One of the things he said that stood out to me in this interview was when he said, when PMP says something, you notice it don't happen. So it appears as if the PMP is using a strategy of being quiet, ladies and gentlemen. They are using a strategy of being quiet so as to not have the people suffer more. So they're just waiting to see if the government is going to do the things that will benefit the people. They're giving them all the room to show the world who they are and how they treat the people. And one of the things he also said that stood out to me in the interview was when he spoke about the separation of powers, executive and legislative, right? The PMP is not the government. They are not a part of the executive. Alright? And that needs to be understood. So when people need to gauge their expectation of what the opposition can actually do and how effective in their opposition will even their opposition be, given the nature. That's what he said. If you want something not to happen, let the PNP say it. I was like, what? This is where it's at? Spiteful? Yo, listen, man. Let me know what y'all think, man. Smash up that like button, share the live, all that good stuff. You heard? All that good stuff. I leave you with this.
Don't ever believe that a politician is a leader. Don't ever believe that. Because the system that we have produces politicians. It doesn't produce leaders. And so you can have a politician who knows nothing about leadership and he's leading you. Politicians are concerned about the next election. That's all they're interested in. That's why they cannot be leaders. But leaders are different. Leaders are concerned about the next generation. I want you to compare those two thoughts the next time you have a politician come to your house wanting to vie for your vote. Just ask him, what is your vision for my children? I will sit and listen for 20 minutes for you to tell me what it is. He will leave your house. Because he has no interest in your children's children. His concern is to stay in power, to keep the position, to win the next election. This is why they cannot lead. When you are going to have a conversation with a politician, you should actually try this as a test. You, by the way, as a citizen of a community, you have a right to be seen by the mayor. I hope you know that. If you voted for a mayor, the mayor works for you. Therefore, you have a right to see him. You can make an appointment to see any public officer you voted for. Did you know that? That's your legal right. If he don't want to see you, you can take him to court. That's democracy. So I want you to make an appointment to go and see your mayor or go and see your governor and just sit there. I want 30 minutes with you, sir. And ask him about that list right there. And sir, what is your purpose for being in leadership in this city? What is your purpose? The first question will make him very nervous. Second question, what is your passion for our community? He'll be wondering what you're talking about. What are you talking about? I just want to build roads and bridges and provide jobs. No. What is your passion? And this is why we need to question the leaders we have. And so I have a little thought here. I call it politics versus leadership. Let's talk about it for a second. Number one, politicians focus on programs, not vision. Number two, politicians' priority is securing the next election, not securing the next generation. Their focus is different. Number three, politicians are preoccupied with promises, not purpose. What we need is statesmen. Statesmen. We don't need more politicians. A statesman is an interesting human. A statesman think of the next generation.